Okay, so if you're wondering, should I upgrade from the Osmo Action to the Action 2? Well, then you've come to the right place. I'm going to make a short, quick comparison that will help you decide if you should spend $500 compared to $200. Let's get into it. Hey guys, it's me, Steve WB, and welcome back to my channel. And today we are comparing arguably two of the best action cameras. Well, one of the best action cameras with its successor. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick overview of these two cameras, what the differences are that I've found, and the flaws of the new one, and is it worth it to go from the new one to the old one. So let's go ahead and get started on this. So what I want to do before we get too far into this review is I put together a little montage with the Action 2 and the DJI Osmo Action, and it's just side-by-side footage that I took at the exact same time with both cameras, and I want you to look at them and tell me what you think. Now, I'm not trying to fool you. I'm not trying to hide which camera is which. It's going to be clearly displayed on the bottom. Just do your own comparison. The only advantage that I saw that the Action 2 had over the Osmo Action was low light performance. If you notice, like in a lot of my comparisons, I'll shoot a lot of shots in the woods. Why is that? Because usually the sky is blown out and there's a lot of shadows and shades underneath the trees. So I always look at like the details on the trees, like the tree bark, and you can clearly see it better with the Action 2. But then there's other cases where the DJI Osmo Action looks really good as well. So it'll really be up to you as far as image quality. Let's go ahead and roll that footage. And we'll just call this the walking vlog test. You have the DJI Action 2 and the DJI Osmo Action. Which one looks better? Which one can you hear better? No external mics. This is just the microphones built into the cameras on quite a windy day. And this will conclude the walking vlog test. Okay, so the main difference between these cameras, and I'm not going to drag this out. It's going to be short and sweet and to the point. The main difference between these two is this can shoot in double the frame rates of this camera. That's basically it as far as internals. Now, form factor, you can see they've completely changed because you can now separate the camera from the base, and you have a little touchscreen on the back, right? And this is what you get, which is really nice, and it's got 32 gigabytes of internal memory. Well, they advertise 32 gigabytes of internal memory. What they don't tell you is that you only get to use 22 gigabytes of that because 10 gigabytes is dedicated to processing and, I guess, software is the proper way to say it. So how long can you record on 22 gigabytes? At 4K 120, 4K 60, 4K 30? Not very long. So the big selling feature, just to kind of reiterate, is the fact that this is compact. Yes, this is compact and it's small, but you only get 22 gigabytes of memory, which is only going to allow you to record 37 minutes at 4K 30. How good is that? I need a lot more than 37 minutes, me personally. What do you do to correct that? Well, they give you the battery base. It's going to give you more battery time, and you can put an external card inside, which is going to give you more storage, and you click it together, and this is what you end up with. Now you no longer have just this cube. If you're going to use this for more than 30 minutes, you're going to have this base on it, and now you're in this form factor. What's the benefit of this over this at this point? If you see, if we put them side by side, the Action 2 is now bigger than the Osmo Action. And if I turn them like this, you're really just getting the same camera with double the frame rates, is what I'm getting at. Yes, you can separate this. Yes, it has cool magnets. Yes, it has, you know, its own little mounting system, but you're not really benefiting anything except for double frame rates. And with those double frame rates comes overheating. Let's go over my research for overheating. And just as a side note, whenever I was getting run times on this camera, how much record time you could get off the internal memory, I had to stick it in the fridge in order to complete the test because it kept overheating and shutting off. That says something too. Overheating. This camera is on fire, and not in a good way. I'm going to read from my notes here because I actually did not bench test it in here where there's no air movement at 80 degrees. I took it outside on a 70-degree day that was quite breezy, and this is what I got for overheating. 4K 120, I got 3 minutes and 43 seconds before it overheated. 4K 60, 10 minutes, 30 seconds. 4K 30, it did not overheat, it just kept running. That's good. The hottest temperature that I reached is 116 degrees. Once the camera reached 116 degrees, it would shut off. Now I did bring the camera inside and do a bench test at 4K 30, and it recorded for 19 minutes and 10 seconds at 70 degrees, and that was with no airflow around it. There you have your overheating results. What are the overheating results for the OG Osmo Action? It doesn't. It barely gets warm. Very reliable. So, is the Action 2 a good camera? It's a great camera. It has really, really nice color science. I love the image quality that you get out of this. Is it really necessary? Who's going to run around shooting 4K 120? I'm not. And if you fly FPV drones and you want this on your FPV, then great. You're going to get an excellent, excellent quality video. Here's the downside if you use this in an action setting. If you crack this screen or this screen, you cannot fix it, repair it, or replace it. What you have to do is ship it off to DJI and wait for them to charge you and send you your camera back unless you have their protection plan, and then it's up to them whether you're going to pay for it or not. With the original Osmo Action, you just unscrew the broken glass and screw a brand new one on. No waiting on DJI. No high cost. Okay, so let's kind of do a quick wrap up on this video. Put the notes away. This camera is a really good camera. When I first got this camera, I fell in love with it right away. I was like, you know, it is so cool. I really liked it. I was like, there's no way I'm going to return this just because I'm really enjoying it. But the more I used it, the more I found myself wanting my GoPro Hero 10. I was like, I feel like I'm forgetting how to use my Hero 10 because I'm reviewing this. And I want to go back. And I felt like I was neglecting this guy. And I don't know if I'm too emotional when it comes to gear or whatever, but the benefits of this to me are not worth the price hike. Maybe in a couple of years when this drops down to a more reasonable price, it'll be worth it. But if you're going to buy this camera for this, because it breaks down to one tiny little camera, it's not worth it to me because, like I said, what are you going to do with 30 minutes of footage at 4K 30? Not very much. And you're definitely not going to get very much runtime at 4K 120. If you do try to get a lot of runtime at 4K 120, you're going to be shutting it off and letting it cool every 3.5 minutes. So, and then of course, you know, like I said, once you put the base on, there is no more size advantage. So for me, I'll be sticking to my GoPro Hero 10, and I will be sticking to the OG Osmo Action, which I really and truly love this camera. This is probably the best action camera to date, in my opinion. It's just flawless. It does what it's supposed to do each and every time. Don't let me sway you from buying this. If you like this form factor, you don't have one of these, and you want the latest and greatest, then go for it. Just know what the limitations are and have a plan for working around them. I'm Steve WB, and I'm out.